Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. If this is your first time here, my name is Jody, I love watches, and I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel by hitting the big button with the word subscribe on it, oddly enough. Now, the video title is not an exaggeration today, I am not lying, I just sold half of my watch collection. Now, I make a state of the collection video every year in early December, and I have made a total of 5 so far in the years that I have been running the channel. And every year I have seen the number of watches in my collection steadily creep up and up and up, from just over 30 to well over 70 watches at the last count. Plus, at any given time there must be another 40 or so in the house that are unofficial, shall we say. Now, I am a watch reviewer and this channel is called Just One More Watch. But last year, after I hit 75 plus, even I acknowledged that there were a number that were on the chopping block, and I began selling a few of those from December onwards. Of course, I have also been buying since then, but I was cleaning up the studio / office last week, or at least I tried to. I had nowhere to clean to. Every single watch box was full. And the cupboards were full as well, so I had a bit of a clear out and I sold 30 watches last week alone. So I guess this video is a bit of a mini mid-year SOTC. What has survived, what has not survived, what did I sell, and why did I sell them? Where are you with your watch collection at the moment? Has it been a buying year or a selling year so far? Leave me a comment, let me know how you're going. You're about to find out how I'm going. What have I sold? What have I bought? Let's find out. Let's look back through that state of the collection video then, starting with the first section, the first batch of watches that I showed you, the new arrivals in inverted commas. They may have been new, but how have they fared? Well, the Hamilton has gone. Lovely watch, but I just didn't wear it all that often and it was too much money to have sitting in the box, so I flipped it. The Seiko is also gone. I'm not a big fan of blue and I found a grey tuner for the same price, so I sold the blue one. You'll see the grey one a bit later in the video. The Tudor Black Bay 58 is very much still part of my collection, as is the Baltony Type A cracking little watch, one of my best ever AliExpress pickups. The Formex Essence Leggera 41, that is still going strong. The Tissot PRX is still hanging on in there by its fingernails. Now, the Citizen Chronomaster, this has become my most worn watch and is one of the reasons why I have sold a lot of my other watches. I don't wear them anymore because I wear this one instead. It is most definitely still here therefore. Orient Bambino, I loved it and I highly rated it. It made my top 5 list for 2022. But I sold it. I put it back in the box after the review and kind of forgot about it, which isn't a good sign. So I flipped it on to somebody who will love it, but who will actually wear it. And the Casio 5600 Solar Bluetooth, another watch that I wear a lot. Pair that one with the Chronomaster and there isn't actually much need for anything else. Did I just say that out loud? Wash your mouth out, Jody. So that's it for the new arrivals. 6 remain, but 3 are gone. Next up, it was the Forevers. 7 watches I said I would never sell, and you know what? I was telling the truth. I will never sell any of these. They are all genuinely part of my forever collection. 7 out of 7 still alive and kicking. What about my Casios though? Well, most of them have survived. The market for 10-year-old Casio calculator watches is a little bit flat at the moment. There isn't much point in selling them therefore. They all survived, that is, apart from the gold AQ800 on the right. It got sold, but it has been replaced by another rather lurid Casio that you'll see soon enough. Next up, it is the MICROBRANDs, and there have been a few victims here, I'm afraid. I really like that Aloha, despite the fact that I gave it a bit of a hard time in the review, so it stays. The Zelos is also a keeper. It has sentimental value rather than monetary value, but the Mayan GMT has gone, as has the Feynman. A lovely looking and very unusual watch, but it had just become a bit of a box dweller, so it has gone. The custom branded Decla survived though, but I must confess I have now sold 2 automatic brown Stratton Specials. It makes me feel slightly better knowing that the money I got for it went towards my contribution for the Shipbox Rally Cancer Council donation though. The Signum Cuda, the watch that killed Loom Wars, now belongs to someone else. It killed off an entire video series, so I got a little bit of a hump with it and I sold it. The Vanuatu is still here though. It's a bit of a benchmark if nothing else because it's too big and chunky for me to wear all that often. Now the Formex Reef GMT is also a bit too big and chunky for me, but it will hang around though until Formex release a 41mm version. Hint hint. The Gerlach Cosmonauta and the Phoebus Eagle Ray GMT both made the cut, both still here. So 7 remain, but 4 are just a fading memory. Moving on to the AliExpress section, and I'll admit it, it has been brutally slashed, but then massively added to as well. That first Seagull 1963 has sapphire crystal. I sold it, but I kept the inverted commas original version of the Seagull. The baby blue Cadison is gone, as is the Adventurine Tourbillon, but I have replaced it with something perhaps even wackier though. Stay tuned. The PAGANI is no longer with us, but the World Timer is, and I sold both of those San Martins, but only because I replaced them with my new favourite, San Martin. The Seagull Bidisc is gone, as is the Red Star Bullhead. The Kronos is still with me though, and will be with me until I can afford a Rolex Submariner, which will be never. The Guanchin has gone, but the Cadison remains, as does the Black Steel Dive at the expense of the Green Steel Dive. So 5 remain, 10 are gone. It has been brutal for these guys, but I have replaced those 10 with roughly another 6, as you'll see. I guess it is easier and therefore more tempting to cycle through slightly lower value pieces. Moving on to mod projects. I'm a bit strange. I'll buy a watch and I'll wear it. I'll buy parts to modify it. I'll modify it and then I'll stop wearing it. Bonkers. Anyway, I sold the Duro and the Dress Vostok, but I've still got everything else. A couple of them aren't fully functional, so I can't really sell them. And despite all of that, I continue to mod watches. Like I said, bonkers. Okay, odds and sods. No offense to the watches on screen right now. That's just what I labeled them last year. I sold all 3 Vostoks. I hadn't worn a Vostok in 18 months and they're not exactly hard to replace, so they all left the building, as did the Casio Edifice over there on the right. If I want to wear a white dial Japanese quartz watch, I now wear my Citizen Chronomaster instead these days. It's a hard to find little watch, so it had no difficulty finding a new home. The rest, I would say, are keepers, for now at least, and they survived. So, 4 gone, 5 remain. And finally, the Shaky Nails. These are all watches I said were on the chopping block last December. How many of them do you think are still in the house? Yeah, only 3 remain. I was pretty brutal with this lot. The Oceanus 200 is an awesome watch, but again, too much overlap with my Citizen. The Tissel was a gift from Adam in Melbourne, but I rarely wore it, so it went back to Adam in Melbourne. The Feynman Cove I really liked a lot, but apparently not enough to keep it, and I got rid of 2 of those 3 vintage watches that I bought a couple of years ago, the Laco and the Langle. Now, the Certina only survived because the crystal cracked on me, and I can't sell it like that, can I? Can't be bothered repairing it either, so it looks like I'm stuck with it in watch purgatory. No surprises, but the Oris 65 has gone. No surprises, I have replaced it with another Oris 65. Or 2. That's a Tissot PR100 down in the front row in 2-tone gold. That one got sold, but not before I put a massive scratch in the bezel by doing my gardening in a gold tone Tissot. Now the gold tone Marlowe Pacific got sold to the same chap who bought the Feynman one. He clearly has an eye for the unusual. The Yema GMT now belongs to Mr. P. And the Jeannot Ocean Rover. Now, I hung on to that watch for years because the controversy surrounding the brand pretty much helped me launch this channel back in 2017. But I did that Marie Kondo thing. I held it in one hand and the Tudor Black Bay 58 in the other hand. The Jeannot got sold. The Arcaido GMT with the channel branding, that was bought by Joe in the States, who then went on to buy the Shipbox Rally Casio MRG. What a guy. Now the Tough Solar 5600 really had already been replaced in my collection with the Bluetooth Tough Solar 5600 from earlier on, and I sold the titanium kit for the base 5600, but I kept the watch. The Omega Genève, now that is still in the house, but I only have it by virtue of the fact that it is also broken and I therefore cannot sell it. All in all, it has been a brutal section. The nails in this house are most definitely shaky. Now, that is a lot of watches that have left the house, but then there have been a few arrive, including not one but two Oris Diver 65s, the classic black 12-hour fixed bezel with the caliber 400, and another Deauville dial, the second I have now owned, courtesy of an offer I couldn't refuse from my good friend Ashley over in Melbourne. That little red King Seiko I got for half price is still here, but it will be going in for a service because the movement is a Barry Crocker. The Dorenzo DR04 was always here, but for some reason I forgot to include it in the state of the collection. It will soon be joined by a burnt orange Dorenzo DRZ02 Mark II, by the way. And the original Seagull 1963 has been joined by a not very original at all bronze version by Red Star. Now, I told you I sold the blue tuna, I replaced it with a grey tuna, which I then modified and haven't worn since. And that is the yellow Cassiope. I've still got my black battery powered version, but I like the solar, I like the Bluetooth, and of course I like the colour. I also picked up that gorgeous Irish coffee Presage, and a mini turtle returned to my collection after a lengthy absence. I replaced the Aventurine Tourbillon with a Xeric triptych. That is my designated novelty piece, if you will. And this is the San Martin that replaced the other two San Martins. A great looking original piece with plenty of colour. I added a Pagani Speedy with the red sapphire bezel to replace all the other Paganis that got the chop, and a micro rotor watch by Lobini, also going into the AliExpress section, a stunning little thing for not much money, review coming soon. So that is 37 watches removed from the collection, exactly half of the 75-ish that I had last December, but 13 new ones added to the collection, leaving me hovering somewhere around the 50 watch mark. Some of the sales were practical, I just wasn't wearing the watches. Some of the sales were financial, I put the money into other things like the Shipbox rally car and my new upcoming MICROBRAND venture, which has sucked a large amount of cash from me over the last 12 months. If you want to be the first to know about the watch when I launch it, make sure you head over to justonemorewatch.com and leave me your email address. I'll leave a link in the description. What will the collection look like by Christmas? Will a few more bite the dust? Probably. Will I buy a few more to replace them? Probably. So leave me a comment, let me know what you have bought and sold this year, where you see your collection in 6 months' time. I reckon I'm heading for the mid-50s, which is still 20 watches less than the same time last year. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to see my original state of the collection from 2017, click here, or last year, the full version of 2022's, click here. I hope to see you again in a future video.